Welcome to our weekly coffee chat. I'm not going to go through a lot of detail in what we did last week. So last week we had Mr. Safas de Kock from the Mill Park Business School, and he just shared with us the hurdles that small business has to jump through and jump over in order to get finance. It was a very interesting session. We had a really good response, especially once the video was posted. So our agenda today, let's do our usual housekeeping. I'm going to welcome somebody. Then I'm going to introduce our topic for today, that is, if opportunity doesn't knock, then build a door. And then we'll open it up for questions and answers, and then we'll just wrap up. Okay, usual housekeeping. Please just mute your microphones. If you would like, then just introduce yourself and who you are via the chat function so that other people could get a hold of you if they wish. And if you have any questions, then please just type Q in the chat box, and I can stop and then you can ask a question. Okay, so today's chat is all about if an opportunity doesn't knock, then build the door. And I'm going to introduce the Honorable Mr. Henro Kruger, who's the Shadow Minister for Small Business, and he's a Portfolio Committee member for Small Business in Parliament. So if we can start, maybe I can just ask Henro just to tell us, what is the Portfolio Committee for Small Business in Parliament? What do they actually do?
Thank you, Richard. Can everybody see me and hear me all right? Let me just see if my mute button. Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Richard. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, my name is Henro Kruger, and I'm on the Small Business Development Committee in Parliament. I'm, of course, a member of Parliament. What the Small Business Committee, or let me start this way, most of the work in Parliament is done via the committees. The stuff you see on television when we're in sitting is a small part of my daily work as a member of Parliament and as a representative of the people in South Africa. So most of the work is done in the committee, and the committee is there primarily to do some oversight over the department. So the department must implement policies of government. In South Africa case, it's the ANC, the ruling party. They implement the policies of the government, and of course our job is then to oversee that implementation and do some oversight and see that they do their work so that the taxpayer get much of, maximum benefit out of their contributions.
Okay, thank you for that. So that leads us straight into my next question then. So then, can you please explain the different types of government programs available to support small business?
Thank you, Richard. Yes, let's start off with, I think COVID-19, we must look at government support in this pandemic of what we call COVID-19. And various departments in government are offering relief, especially financial relief, to small businesses. And some of the departments are, most probably not all of them, but the most important ones is the Small Business Development Relief Fund, the Department of Home Affairs, they call their relief fund TERS. The Department of Tourism got a COVID-19 Tourism Relief Fund. Department of Agriculture, also a Disaster Supplement Fund. And then SARS, of course, also have a system where they help small businesses. The Department of Trade and Industry through one of their subsidiaries called IDC support systems, and then the Art and Culture Department also offers some relief for COVID-19 victims, in our case, small businesses. Now, when we look at Small Business Development Relief Fund, there's a few funds that they introduced in April. The one was a debt relief fund, finance scheme. Unfortunately, that window is already closed. Then there was the Business Growth Facility. They don't accept any more applications. The one that still is going is the SPAZA and General Dealer Support Scheme. And of course, there's also in the pipeline the Self-Employment Support Scheme. We're still waiting for an announcement, and I think the Minister herself is waiting for the announcement. So I don't know when we will receive an announcement in that form. And then there's the second wave, what a small business called second wave of support that is introduced a week or so ago. Now, if we look at the SMME debt relief scheme, there was around about 35,000 applications, and 14,000 of them were fully completed. And of that 14,000 fully completed applications, CFA approved 1,400, let's say 1,500 applications worth 513 million. Now, if we look at the start of this fund, when it was announced, it was allocated initially an amount of 200 million, and it was later increased to 500 million. So you can see now the fund is already oversubscribed. However, the Department of Small Business will, all the applications, because remember this SMME Debt Relief Fund, a part of the cost that they will cover because of COVID-19 is your payroll. Now, what the department agreed to do is all those small businesses that applied for this debt relief fund and indicated that they need some relief on their payroll, the department will send that applications through to the UIF, and then UIF will deal with that portion of your, portion of the relief. So that is, and of course, the department will also, in the near future, announce the way forward and how will they support small businesses when everything, start working again. From the 1st of June, a lot of small businesses will go back to work and start their businesses. But of course, because of the damage, financial damage that was already done, we need some sort of a direction from small business development to help those. The Small Business Growth Fund is also, they don't accept any applications anymore. The SPAZA General Dealer Scheme is just working capital investment, and it's in the form of a credit loan guarantee scheme of CFA, and it's administrated by Nedbank. Then the second wave of support, Richard, which is very important, but if you look at the second wave of support, then you will see it is more or less only for informal micro and small businesses in trading in townships and villages. So it's small-scale bakeries, small-scale clothing and textile supports, and panel beaters and mechanics and so on fixing cars. So this whole second wave of support is going to be concentrated on informal businesses and small businesses in townships and, of course, villages in the rural areas. Then Home Affairs, the TERS, they please, if you need a calculator to calculate the TERS benefit for a small business, the Workman's website is at www.werksmans.com. They got an unbelievable calculator that can calculate your benefit that you can apply for, and it worked on a sliding scale with a maximum income of about 17,500, and then of course right through the bank it will pay out the minimum wage of 3,500. But please, if you need more information, visit the website of Department of Labor. Then, very important, Richard, tourism, Department of Tourism application window will close the 31st of May. So it's 2 or 3 days from now. It's very important that those in that sector, you know, small business in that sector, like accommodation establishment, hospitality and related services, travel and related services, must get their application in as soon as possible. And the scheme provides a one-off amount of 50,000 Rand per entity, and it's guided by, and you will see the DA is also taking them to court. It's guided by the Tourism Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Codes of Good Practice. Important that this window is closing the 31st of May. Agriculture, they opened their relief fund, I think it was the 18th of April, and they closed it already the 22nd of April. But their intervention, it's 1.2 billion. 1.2 billion. And so you can see the difference between small business development, 500 million, and agriculture that offer relief to small-scale farmers of 1.2 billion. But that is just to secure the food supply in South Africa in this troubled times. Now, SARS also gives some sort of relief. Please do yourself a favor and visit their website. You will get a tax subsidy of roughly up to 500 Rand a month for private sector employees earning below 6,500. Then there's also a 20% delay of payment of the tax, employees' tax liabilities over the coming 4 months. Then IDC, it's still open. Apparently, it's very difficult to get onto their website and get all the relevant applications. But the Department of Trade and Industry, through their IDC support fund, will help small businesses in the following sectors. It's agro processing, chemical products, clothing and textile, manufacturing, media, new, tourism, and those type of industries. You can just visit their website and they will be able to help you. And of course, the Department of Art and Culture also offered a relief fund. Their deadline was the 6th of April, and the amount was a maximum of 20,000 Rand per artist. Then also Treasury and the banks are working together. Treasury is giving the guarantees. So if you're a small business, please visit your bank's website. You will get all the information there, and it's in the form of a soft loan. So all the major banks have this agreement with Treasury. There's millions of rands put aside for the guarantee scheme through your banks. And that's more or less, Richard, what government offers for relief for small businesses financially at the moment. If you need technical information, then we can talk about that on a later stage.
Oh, thank you, Henro. When I post the video and I send everybody the links, I will actually send everybody the same document that Henro sent me, which has got everything that Henro has actually just spoken about, which is quite a bit. So please don't stress about trying to remember all the programs. But that leads me straight to my next question, Henro. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, Richard, I will also send you a one-pager with all the websites links on it. So it's an easy click of a button. And of course, also the website with all the government gazettes, you know, announcing the essential services and all the, so it's quite a nice one-pager with just hyperlinks and clicks to go to the different websites.
Oh, wonderful. That'll help a lot. Thank you. So after everything you just said then, I think the thing that comes to mind is, so what are the key requirements for relief financing? I mean, what hurdles or hoops do we have to jump through to actually get to some of this relief financing?
Yeah, Richard, you will know that every small business in South Africa will know that the two major stumble blocks starting a small business is, of course, red tape is the one, and the second one is getting finance, getting the risk finance, your risk finance. So, and this time around, it's not different. I mean, government is still struggling to reduce red tape. So if you are one of the fortunate small businesses that apply for access to this relief fund, you will know it's a hell of a job just to fill in all the forms and send all the paperwork. But the Department of Small Business got the basic qualifying criteria is the business must be registered with CIPC. If you're not registered with CIPC and you need to register, please visit the CIDA website at cida.org.za. They will be able to help you, and they promise me that they will be able to register your business in 2 days' time. So it's a very short turnaround period. The company must also be 100% owned by South African citizens. Employees must be 70% South Africans. And small business, and most of the funds are given priority to business owned by women, youth, and people with disability, because that's the focus of the policies of government at the moment. And then, of course, the business must be compliant with SARS and UIF. And the very obvious one is you must be able to prove that your business is negatively affected by COVID-19. Complete an application form, send in all the documents they need. They need your FICA documents, certified ID copy of your ID, and a 3 months bank statement. The Home Affairs TERS, of course, you must be registered with an unemployed insurance fund. You must make monthly contributions towards this fund. You must also comply with the application procedure of TERS. I must say it was a headache in the beginning, but they start working on it. It becomes very user-friendly. Although we're still waiting for the announcement of the commissioner and the minister of when is the May application is going to be open. It was supposed to be yesterday. I haven't checked my, the website today yet, so I don't know if it's open today, but I'm sure it will be open very soon. But it's a headache because most of our employees is not going to get paid at the end of the month. Yeah, sure. And the main exclusion here is employers that's registered with a bargaining council. They can't claim from UIF TERS. Then there's the tourism department. It's more or less the same as a small business, with one exemption. Remember, I talked about the BEE, the triple BEE codes. But there's also, according to the department, there's what they call exempt micro enterprises from BEE codes. And that's defined in terms of the amended tourism BBBEE sector code of 2015. And all it means is that if you are a company or let's say a guest house, business, small business in the tourism sector, and your turnover is less than 10 million, then you're exempt of this BBBEE codes. So please don't let this whole black empowerment thing turn you off. Put in your application and see what's happening. I always say if your line is not in the water, you can't catch a fish. You must be tax compliance, and there's a whole 6 months bank statements, more or less the same as small business department. Then the IDC, there's a lot of criteria. Please visit their website. It's very user friendly, and you can get all the criteria there. It's quite a lengthy process. One of the things the IDC they don't want to finance it all by themselves, so they need to see that you finance some of the losses yourself or through your bank. And then the last one is the bank and the treasury combined scheme that's available. Please visit your bank's website. You will get all the information there.
Okay,
thank you.
Okay, so but during this period of time, we are taking on a lot of debt. And if you look at the uncertain outlook of the economy over the next 2 to 3 years, small business may take on too much debt, and it creates a problem for repayments further down the line. So what is government considering to mitigate this potential problem?
Well, the Department of Small Business, which mandate is to support small businesses in South Africa. At the moment, they're using 2 vehicles, namely SIDA. SIDA stands for Small Business Enterprise Development Agency, and then SIFA, which stands for Small Enterprise Financial Agency. So they use these 2 vehicles to assist small businesses. So SIDA mandate is then to assist small businesses in technical support, right? And technical support through mentoring and through assessment of your business. So their job is supposed to assess small businesses and mentoring them out of this financial trouble to become much stronger and more profitable. That's why they're supposed to have a footprint in every municipality. So, so if you need some help, you can go to the closest SIDA offices. It's on their website. In most district municipalities, there's definitely a SIDA office. So they will help you with technical support and small business, and they make use of university students that can help you, work on your cash flow and work on a plan to work yourself out of manage yourself out of this problem. The SIFA is then the guys that carry the checkbook. So their mandate is to supply financial support. But we all know that financing small businesses or financing an idea, because most small businesses start off with an idea in somebody's head, are very risky. So the problem at the moment with SIFA is their interest rates are very high because of the risk factor. And myself is working in the committee, or working very close to them, so that we can convince SIFA to be not a first world world financer, but to change their mind shift to a developing sort of country set of mind, so that we can help SMEs to survive and grow. So that is the two vehicles that small business will use. And of course, then the private sector, government work now very close for the past 2 years or so with the private sector, to bring them on board, big business, the banks and everybody, so that we can help small businesses to get on their feet again, kickstart the businesses, so that we can create jobs. Because in the past, small business was there to make money. I think the future in South Africa is small business must be there to create jobs. And of course, at the end of the day, must be worth it while for the investor. So the two vehicles is the INCIDA and CIFA, and please feel free to go and visit the website. They got quite interesting things of importance about small businesses.
Thank you for that. So my next question is actually a double-barreled question, and if I can put you on the spot a little bit, in that, currently the South African economy is skewed towards big business and big finance. So I know we spoke a couple of days ago about there would be possibly a new act coming out. So what is government, how are they going to help with easing the, help with the ease of doing business? And then the second part of the question is how to protect small business, especially against big businesses and state.
Richard, the ease of doing business is a passion of myself. And it's about regulations of government. Governments, the aim of regulations of governments around the world, and particularly in South Africa, is to protect labor, the business owner, and the investor. I mean, that's why they come up with regulations, so that to safeguard those three elements in a business. But of course, regulations, governments must, and especially in South Africa, miss their goal totally, because they overreach business activity. So they Afrikaans sê hulle druk hulle neus in klein sake se besighede. So governments normally, the government in South Africa adopt and maintain regulations that's a burden on entrepreneurs. So the World Bank brings out a report every year, what's called the ease of doing business, where they have a few criteria which they measure, and to see how easy is it to do business in a country. So they measure this criteria in about 190 countries worldwide. And they measure criteria like starting a business, how difficult is it and how long it takes. They measure electricity availability. They measure how easy is it to register property. They check the credit protection of investors. They look at how difficult is it to get rid of an employee. They also look at paying taxes, trading across borders, and of course they also look on how difficult is it to trade, for small businesses to trade with government. And they put this on an index and then list the countries from good to worse, or good to bad, or easy to more difficult. So, and what we must do and get government, and I'm worked for the past 7 years very hard on this, is to measure, because if you can't measure something, you can't manage it. And that's the big problem with South Africa government. They don't measure those things. So we try to manage it, and the only time that you hear about this activities, and let's call it red tape, is when a politician wants to make a political statement about it. But on the ground level, where the officials are working, there's no real effort of reducing red tape and make it easy for our small businesses to trade in South Africa. I call it the freedom of trade in South Africa. So your question about protection of small business, also me and my ex-colleague, his name is Tony Chance, we tried our best the previous term to introduce a private members bill called the Ombudsman's Bill for small businesses. Now, this ombudsman, if we can create an ombudsman, small business ombudsman in South Africa, where small businesses can go and, there's a platform for small businesses to complain and to lift their problems with big business. That will take us very far. But of course, you must give this ombudsman teeth so that they can really be there for the benefit of the small business. Of course, the government wiped this whole proposal off the table. But I must say, the good news is that they're going to include this ombudsman creation in the new Small Business Act. Well, they're busy working on it. We most probably will see the first signs of it at the end of the year, maybe next year because of COVID-19. But there's good news coming. And so according to my opinion, that the ombudsman will help small business a lot in South Africa, especially against the bullying of big business. And I can give you ample examples where big business are only there to bully small businesses. And I hate it a lot. I'm passionate about protecting our small businesses.
Thank you, Henry. I think we can all probably share horror stories of those particular aspects. So that's my questions. I'm conscious of the time. So what I'd like to do now is I'd actually like to open it up to everybody who's on the call to